All right, today we're stepping into a pretty magical place, a hall of illusions, actually, to explore something called Meri's norms. Think of it as a gentle but really powerful guide for anyone who's managing a shared digital space. So, let's head inside. Right off the bat, Meri makes one thing super clear. This isn't about a bunch of rigid rules you have to follow. Instead, you're meant to treat this like a guiding rope. A soft, glowing rope of light that doesn't tie you down, but just kind of shows you a good path forward. And that's really the whole philosophy here. It's about wisdom, not just a list of do's and don'ts.
So, here's our map. Our journey is going to take us through 6 magical stations in this Hall of Illusions. We're going to learn how to pause, figure out what people really want, be super precise with our changes, play around in a consequence-free sandbox, save our digital memories, and then, this is a big one, learn how to celebrate. Let's get started.
So here we are at our first station, and it's all about the power of the pause. You can see instead of just rushing ahead, the group is taking a moment with that glowing rope of light. It's this beautiful symbol for just grounding yourself and finding your own pace.
The very first norm is about knowing yourself. What's your limit? How's your patience today? Before you dive in and start making changes, you got to check in. See how the characters are just taking this collective, calming breath? That's what it's about. Giving yourself the space to actually think. And hey, this isn't about putting things off, it's about acting thoughtfully.
And Meri gives us this fantastic prompt to think about. We all feel that pressure to say yes right away, don't we? But learning to say things like, let me check my calendar, or, and this is my favorite one from the source, let me mull it over and I'll get back to you. Well, those are just powerful tools. They create a little buffer for you to think and make a better decision. What's your go-to phrase for creating that pause?
Okay, moving on to our second station. And here, we're tackling the challenge of figuring out what the actual goals are. These glowing orbs on the table represent a project's objectives, right? Some are shining bright and clear, but others are kind of dim and fuzzy. The mission is to understand the real vision.
This hits on such a common problem. Someone pitches an idea with just 1 or 2 flashy selling points, but the real reasons, the deeper goals, they stay hidden. And if you don't take the time to ask questions, to repeat back what you heard just to make sure you've got it right, you could end up building something that totally misses the point.
And oh my gosh, this cartoon just illustrates it perfectly. From what the client explained, to what the engineer designed, to how the customer was actually billed, every single step is a complete miscommunication because nobody stopped to clarify the real goal. It's hilarious, but it's also painfully accurate, right? I think we've all been on a project that felt a little bit like that tire swing.
This question just pulls us right into that playful vibe we're seeing at the illusion table. The characters are laughing and gesturing, trying to piece together the meaning of some half-baked idea. It's a great reminder that figuring out goals doesn't have to be some formal, stuffy meeting. It can actually be a fun, creative, collaborative thing. Our third station shows us this incredibly complex and delicate system, and the way the characters are approaching this shifting illusion machine so carefully with these slow, deliberate movements, well, it teaches us the art of surgical precision.
This metaphor for Meri is just so powerful. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't go into surgery and just start making random cuts, right? Of course not. The same exact idea applies to a life system that people are already using. Every little change has a risk. Every new thing you add is something you'll have to maintain later. You want to be a surgeon, not a demolition crew.
This is all about being efficient and thinking ahead. Once you know the goals, you have to ask, what's the smallest, simplest thing we can do to get there? The way these characters are hesitating before making just one tiny, precise adjustment, that's it right there. You avoid chaos and you don't create extra headaches for your future self. And this connects so beautifully to the idea of organic growth. This image, it's not about one single perfect creation out of nowhere. It's about an evolutionary process. Like Meri says, growing slowly to the same conclusion you already had still forms roots. It's about building something that's strong and that will last, not just something that works for 5 minutes. This whole idea of careful, steady growth brings us to our fourth station. A doorway just opens up into this self-contained little world where nothing has permanent consequences. This, right here, is the freedom of the sandbox.
This is where the real fun, the real experimentation happens. Inside this little bubble, the characters are testing out their wildest ideas, unleashing all this harmlessly chaotic illusion magic. Prototyping in a safe space lets you discover all those hidden problems and gotchas before you break the main system. It's a space for learning, not just for building.
This cartoon and this quote, they just say it all. Why do we need a sandbox?
Because, as Meri so perfectly puts it, everyone's a numbskull under pressure. That fear of making a mistake in a live system can totally kill creativity. A private prototype space just removes all that pressure, so you can actually innovate.
This is really the heart of prototyping, isn't it? It's about that playful sense of discovery. It's the freedom to build something totally ridiculous, watch it fall apart, learn something from it, and then just tidy up and start over. Giving yourself that permission is a huge part of growing, both creatively and technically.
Okay, at the fifth station, the mood shifts a little. It gets a bit more reverent. We're seeing characters perform these grand gestures, moving whole channels of light and memory into this huge, glowing archive chamber. This is about the sacred duty of preservation.
Now, this is the only norm that Meri calls a hard and fast rule. And the reason is completely human. It's not about data or storage space. It's about connection and history. Deleting a channel can be just like burning a photo album. You're erasing conversations, inside jokes, and moments that are genuinely meaningful to people.
So the rule is simple, but it's profound. You can see a character here. They raise a hand to get rid of an illusion, but then they pause. They can sense its history, its weight, and instead of destroying it, they gently guide it into the archive. That single action just captures the whole essence of this norm. Respect the past.
And finally, we arrive at our last station, and it is just filled with light and laughter. The characters are all in a circle, showing off these little magical tricks to each other, sharing these appreciative smiles. This is all about honoring the work that nobody else sees. So much of the work of an admin happens behind the scenes, right? It's quiet, it's meticulous, and honestly, it often goes completely unnoticed, until something breaks. And that is exactly why this final norm is so important. Because the work is invisible to most people, the team itself has to make it visible to each other. You have to celebrate.
The principle is so simple. Every little bit matters. That tiny 8-kilogram kettlebell is just as important as the big 50-kilogram one. Every bug fix, every small improvement, every thoughtful change, it's a win. And celebrating those moments builds morale and makes all that hard work actually feel valued.
And with that, our journey through the 6 stations is complete. A warm spotlight hits the center of the hall and Esker steps forward. All the illusions we've seen, that guiding rope, the goal orbs, the glow from the archive, they all swirl together and shrink down into a single shimmering card. With just a simple tap, Esker releases this wave of celebratory light that just washes over everyone.
And as Esker gives this slow, elegant bow, we're left with this one final thought. Celebration isn't just for the big, flashy project launches. It's for all the little steps you take along the way. So take a second. Think about your day or your week. What's one small bit of progress, one thing you learned, one helpful thing you did that you can acknowledge and celebrate right now?